Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alaska College Fair. We're so excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools with us here today. My name's Brianna, and I'll be your facilitator. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. This is just one of many sessions happening tonight, so be sure to check the schedule. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/Alaska. I'd now like to turn it over to Eric.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Pederson. I am currently Chief Enrollment Officer at the Evergreen State College down here in Washington State. And I like to brag, I'm a former resident of Anchorage and was Chief Enrollment Officer at UAA for many years. Before moving down here to Evergreen, and we're going in alphabetical order. So Justin.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Eric. My name is Justin Bolt. I'm here from the University of Nevada, Reno. It's the state of Nevada's land grant flagship U.S. News Tier 1 Carnegie R1 Research University. Excited to be here and tell you guys all about how WUE works at the University of Nevada, Reno. With that, I will pass it off to Stephen.
I should pass it over to Lisa if we're going alphabetical, but it's all good. My name is Steve Ladwig, and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at Humboldt State University. Graduated from Humboldt with a degree in marine biology. Did that for a minute, and I'm back in admissions. So I'm really glad to be here to answer any kind of WUE related questions. Lisa?
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Lisa Ann Amaral. I am the Assistant Director of Admission at the University of Hawaii at Hilo, located on the Big Island of Hawaii. So happy to meet with you all today and excited to tell you more about WUE at UH Hilo. Are there any questions off the top of your head for any of our attendees that you may have about WUE?
And presenters, what do you think if we just do a short, brief how WUE is administered on our campus, and then go from there? Maybe that'll spur some questions. Sure. Lisa Ann, you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Okay, so let me screen share for a little bit. Okay, so at UH Hilo, let me go into present mode. WUE saves you nearly $10,000 in tuition on our campus. So great deal to come and study at UH Hilo with the WUE tuition price. As you can see, our regular non-resident tuition price is over $20,000 for our non-residents. With WUE, your tuition drops down to about $11,000 for the whole academic year, which is a really great price at our institution. And of course, this is just for the cost of tuition, but for our freshmen, after getting admitted to UH Hilo with a 2.7 GPA, if you have a 3.0 or above, you'll be guaranteed the WUE tuition rate on our campus. If you're transferring into UH Hilo, a 2.8 GPA will guarantee you the WUE tuition price, and for admission, a 2.0 will get you in. So that's definitely doable for our students from Alaska, 3.0 coming out of high school, 2.8 if you're transferring in, guarantees you will be on our campus, saving you nearly $10,000 in tuition costs. Yeah. Shall we go in reverse order then, Stephen?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, at Humboldt State, our Western Undergraduate Exchange is automatically granted to a student just simply based on your address. So if you come from one of the 14 Western states, we will grant you that tuition. Like all of our campuses, it's about 1.5 times your in-state tuition, much less than your out-of-state tuition. So at Humboldt, it ends up being just over $10,000 a year for tuition. And we also provide that WUE tuition discount for all 4 years that you're here, 4 or 5 years that you're here, and no minimum requirements to stay in it. So there's no GPA minimum and there's no number of units that you have to pass every year. So it's really just with you the whole time. I do get the question from time to time regarding, can I come in as a WUE student my first year and then as a California resident my second year? In California, when you ask to be reclassified from one tuition to another, you can't benefit from the home state. In other words, you can't get the WUE discount while you're trying to establish California residency. So it's just something to be aware of. And it's actually much cheaper just to take the WUE the 4 years that you're here than to pay out of state and go back and forth. So just putting that out there for consideration. And we are Polytechnic, starting fall 23, we'll be a Polytechnic. So we're moving in the direction of adding a bunch of Polytechnic majors. And these also will be included in the WUE program. So that's our little spiel about Humboldt. Let's turn it over to Justin.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. So the way it works at the University of Nevada, Reno is there's no separate application for WUE. You're just going to apply for admissions to the University of Nevada. It's a very simple application, no letters of rec, no essay. Basically fill out the application, pay $60, submit a transcript. We're going to see that you're coming from a participating state. We're going to see that you're coming from Alaska. We're going to automatically consider you for the program. Now, the way that you actually qualify as an incoming freshman is you need to meet one of three potential different requirements. You either need to have a 3.25 cumulative unweighted GPA, or you need to score an 1160 on the SAT, or you need to score a 24 on the ACT. If you meet one of those three minimum requirements, you're going to qualify for the WUE program. At our university, we don't limit it to any specific majors. So any of our 145 plus undergraduate programs, you can study at the university. They all participate in the WUE program. Now, as an incoming transfer student, it's a little bit different. We look for a minimum of 24 transferable credits, so about 1 year's worth of coursework, and we look for a minimum 3.0 transfer GPA. So if you meet one of those requirements, either as an incoming freshman or as an incoming transfer student, you can come to the university, study whatever major you'd like, be a part of the WUE program. And like everybody's saying, it just reduces the cost of out-of-state tuition. So our out-of-state tuition is right around $23,000 for one academic year as an out-of-state student at the University of Nevada, Reno. But if you qualify for the WUE program, it reduces it down to approximately $11,000 per year in tuition that you'll pay all 4 years at the university. So you secure it, you qualify for it as a prospective student when you apply to the university right now. And if you qualify for it, you get it every year for 4 consecutive years. And we have no impacted majors at this university, so you can graduate from any of our programs in 4 years, and you'll have WUE the entire time. So that's how it works. And with that, I will pass it off to Eric at Evergreen.
All right. Apologize for the wild gestures there. I'm working at home today. Apparently someone's ringing the doorbell and my daughter doesn't want to answer it. So at the Evergreen State College, our WUE qualification and policy is very simple. I think like Justin and Stephen and Lisa's, you need to apply for admission as a first-year student or as a transfer. In either case, if you are an Alaska resident and have a 3.0 cumulative GPA reported on the transcripts that you submit, you will qualify for Western Undergraduate Exchange tuition. If you know a little bit about Evergreen, we do not have any formally designed majors. So there are no restrictions on what you can study as either a first year or a transfer student. I believe Justin just used the term impacted major. And so to speak generally for a minute, is you are researching your options with undergraduate exchange, you will find some institutions which only have it available for certain academic programs or majors. And that's a bit of research that you will need to do it to make sure you ask any admissions representatives that you're in contact with. For Evergreen, our resident tuition is $7,500 per year. Our Western Undergraduate Exchange tuition is $10,500 per year for 3 quarters. And that compares to a non-resident from another part of the country or someone not qualifying. Tuition alone is $28,000 a year for kind of a standard non-resident. And so that's the situation at Evergreen. Do I get to throw out the next topic, or do we want to see if there are some questions now from our audience?
I'm not seeing any questions in the question and answer box, so have at it.
Now you put me on the spot because I've got to think of the next topic. Let's talk a little bit about, if we could, about, so you get admitted, you pick a Western undergraduate exchange, and you're receiving that benefit at the school. Let's talk a little bit about what it takes to keep that tuition benefit, because I would imagine each one of you have different rules and regulations. I'll start and we'll go back through the order. Sound good? And at Evergreen, it's pretty simple. You need to maintain basic academic progress, which is no different than any other student on our campus that is receiving financial aid. And so Evergreen is an institution. We do not issue letter grades to our students. So our standard is that you need to earn full credit in every course or program that you take. So if you're doing one of our 16 credit interdisciplinary programs, which would be a team taught multi-subject situation, you need to consistently earn a minimum of 3/4 or 12 out of the 16 credits to remain eligible for Western undergraduate exchange. So it's both a little bit complicated and pretty straightforward at Evergreen. And so I will pass it back to Justin on this topic.
Okay, thanks, Eric. So at the University of Nevada, Reno, there's really just, after you qualify for WUE, there's one final thing that you need to do as a continuing student, and that's you need to live on campus for your first year. We require that you live in the residence halls for your freshman year, which we're going to encourage across the board anyway. It's a great way to get connected with campus, meet people. Research tends to show that students that live on campus their first year have higher GPAs, higher graduation rates. So we encourage it for everybody, but for WUE students, we require it for your first year. So I was actually a WUE student originally from California. So when I came to the University of Nevada, Reno, I lived in the dorms my freshman year and moved off campus for my sophomore, junior, senior year. Now, as far as continuing academic requirements, we have no explicit academic requirements for continuing students, but there are some implicit ones. The way it works at our university is WUE will start and stop after 4 years. So that's really a hard stop. So what you need to be doing is passing your classes. We're not going to take away WUE if you fall below a certain GPA threshold from one semester to the next. But obviously, if you're not passing classes, you're not staying on track to graduate in 4 years. And so if it then takes you 4.5, 5 years to graduate, that WUE is going to stop after your 4th year. So it's not explicit from one semester to the next, but it is implicit that you got to be staying on track to graduate in 4 years. So that's how it works with us. I'm going to pass it back over to Stephen.
We don't have any specific guidelines that you need to pass, but like actually Eric and Justin said, it's really the same for all students. We encourage our students to live in the residence halls. We're a residential campus in the far northern corner of the state. We're it in terms of what's going on around here. So we really we're not in a big city. We really want you to get involved. So especially our WUE students to get to know the area. We are the southern reach of the Pacific Northwest. So we have winter. It starts a lot later and ends a lot earlier than Alaska. But other than that, it's the same kind of thing. And then our WUE will extend for as long as you're making progress towards your degree as well. But that doesn't mean certain numbers of units or certain GPA. We just want you to keep on keeping on. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Lisa Ann.
Okay, so at the University of Hawaii at Hilo, as long as you are a continuing student, you will keep your WUE status. So you do need to be awarded WUE at the time that you are admitted to UH Hilo. So you start off in your first year at UH Hilo with WUE, and it continues with you the whole way until you graduate. So whether it takes you 4 years, 4.5 years, or 3 years to graduate, it will stay with you the whole time. If you stop out for any reason, take a break from school, you will need to reapply for WUE and meet the admissions criteria and WUE criteria at that time. So, really easy to keep here. There are no minimum GPA, no minimum credits that you need to adhere to. It will stay with you the whole time.
So I'm going to throw out, I thought of another couple topics. And so one of us should maybe talk a little bit about the WUE website and how students can make use of it to do some research on colleges. I will mention that there is a guide, a book available that is a guide to Western Undergraduate Exchange colleges. I don't know if anybody in the audience might happen to know that it's written by a resident of Anchorage, a gentleman named Brian Swan, and it's called The Savvy Guide to the Four-Year WUE Schools. Amazon pulled up 2016 as the latest edition, but I happen to know I've been in touch with Brian, and there's at least one update since 2016 that is out there. And he does a little bit of research, gathers data from folks to update that four-year guide to WUE schools every now and then. So that might be a resource you want to check out from your local library or make a purchase of. And who could I throw it to talk a little bit about the website? Got it, Justin?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
I'll just add a comment about the WUE website. I think it's a fantastic starting resource to go out and to explore some of the universities that participate in the program. But the really important thing is really once you find a school that you're interested in, that's in a participating state that you find on the website, go check in with that school directly, because WUE at a lot of our campuses is a very fluid situation. Academic requirements can change from one year to the next. Participating programs change from one year to the next. Even some universities are starting to participate in WUE or stopping to participate in WUE. And so that website may not be 100% accurate at all times. So use it as a starting point to learn and explore and find things that you're interested in, but then follow up with us or with your interested universities directly. Google our university websites, add WUE onto your search. Everybody should have a web page that talks a little bit more about it. So, but use it as a resource.
Yeah, good advice, Brian. And then I'll toss it to you, Lisa. And I think the four folks who volunteered to present to you this evening all have very straightforward WUE programs. Others out there are not. And Justin gave you some really excellent advice.
Absolutely. Definitely, as Justin said, follow up with the schools for sure. For us, it is stated that you do need to meet our WUE GPA at the time of admission. However, if you have maybe that 2.8, 2.9 GPA and not quite meeting that 3.0, but you're really working hard, to bring your GPA up, as long as you turn in updated transcripts and you meet that 3.0 GPA before the start of school, before the first day of school. So maybe your final high school transcripts, maybe when you first got admitted in the first quarter of your senior year, you had maybe a 2.9 GPA, 2.89 or so, but you were able to bring it up by graduation to a 3.0. We'll be happy to reevaluate your WUE acceptance at that point, and we'll be happy to award you WUE at any time before the start of school. So, definitely, there are stated guidelines on the WUE website and even on our websites, but, reach out to an admissions counselor. We're all here to help you. We want to see you succeed, and, we all want to see you get the best tuition rate possible. Stephen, did you have anything to add about WICHE or?
No, I was thinking to myself, I'm the guy that updates the WICHE website, the WUE website. And I know that I'm always late because it's sort of at the end of the year and you're hoping to get it in time. It's a great resource. It really is. And as has been stated here, campuses, man, especially right now, campuses are turning on a dime in the direction that they go. And so making those connections to the campus is incredibly important. I see in the list of attendees that we have quite a few parents on, so I'm glad to hear that because those questions definitely, we want to make sure that the parents are understanding how the WUE works as well. So really encouraging, if any questions come up, the chat, the question and answer period is not public. So sometimes people have specific questions and they don't want to put it out there. It's not public. So just know that if there's like an income thing or something like that that you need to answer, we'll do our best. And then obviously the campus may have specific guidelines to follow as well. So just put it out there.
Sure. You know, and you mentioned financial aid there. You'll want to check with each campus to see if by making use of the Western Undergraduate Exchange, it excludes you from any other type of institutional aid. It should not from federal aid, but there might be state-based aid that's available to non-residents or institutional aid. And for example, we do merit scholarships for residents and non-residents, and receiving a Western Undergraduate Exchange Award from Evergreen supersedes your merit scholarship. So you cannot have both. It would add up and exceed the limits of aid that you can have. But that's also going to be another thing that's going to be very individual to campuses, and a good thing to investigate and make sure you understand going in to possibly enroll at a WUE college.
Yeah, if I could just chime in on that, I think that's a great point, Eric. And I think it's important when you're looking at colleges and universities, since this is kind of a panel talking about costs, is you really want to look at net cost. You want to look at what is the cost of attendance before any form of aid. You want to look at all the forms of aid that can come in and help with that. Because as Eric said, sometimes the WUE program is stackable and you can combine it with other merit scholarships, and sometimes you can't. Another important thing you got to think about too is a lot of universities and colleges phrase their WUE selling point in a different way. A lot of us talk about it as a tuition discount, where basically we'll charge you a lesser amount of tuition. But some universities are going to talk about it in terms of scholarship. They're going to say you qualify for a $12,000 WUE scholarship, for example. And so try not to be too confused with that. What you really want to look at is what is the overall cost of attendance before aid? What are all the opportunities for aid, whether it's WUE, merit scholarships, federal aid, and then look at your net cost. What is it actually going to cost you to come to the college or university of your choice after all that aid is awarded? And that's how you can really have a good apples to apples comparison when you're looking at cost from one university to another. So just be cognizant of that in your research.
Generating any questions from our audience?
We're either super thorough or we haven't hit the topics yet.
I mean, we could play those scary teachers that start calling people out.
No,
No, we won't do that.
No. I know that our campus has yet to publish fall 22 tuition. That's usually should be coming out very soon. And so when you're looking at a campus, the costs, depending on which campus it is and when they're able to publish the tuition for the next year, but it'll be very close. We've been not in California anyway, we have not been at our public schools, not been sending tuition up really expansively. It's been sort of incremental. So at least at the current rate right now, you can apply fall 21 tuition and know that it'll be very close to what fall 22 will be. Can't say what fall 23 will be.
No, very true at Evergreen. Our state legislature will set the boundaries early in their session this spring, and in May, more likely June, all the public colleges in Washington will announce their tuition rates, but increases have been in the neighborhood of 2 to maybe 3% at the most on resident tuition. And remember that WUE is connected to the resident tuition rate at all participating institutions.
At the University of Hawaii at Hilo, we are currently on a tuition freeze right now. So our 2022 tuition will be the same as this year, $11,000, $16 or so. So that will stay the same, nothing will change. And yeah, so we invite all of you to apply. It's a great year to start school at UH Hilo with that tuition freeze going on right now.
Well, go ahead.
No, I think we'll wrap up the session with just, a few talking points about our institutions and our WUE programs, and we'll give you the rest of your afternoon. So Eric, did you want to start?
So what's my assignment? Couple of remarks about Evergreen specifically, and we'll wrap it up unless some questions come through. Okay, all right, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so Evergreen is, we're located in Olympia, which is the state capital of Washington. We are exactly an hour south of the Seattle-Tacoma Airport. We are a public liberal arts college, and so we are the smallest unit of the public four-year institutions in Washington. We're about just over 2,100 students in size. We have 3 graduate programs in addition in environmental science, public administration, and teaching, but otherwise are an undergraduate institution. 40 states are represented on our campus, and Alaska is consistently in the top 10 amongst our student body. We're sort of the state next door as it stands, and so climate would be most similar to Juneau and Southeast compared to Anchorage. Rainy, in all honesty, but if you enjoy that climate and environment like is down in Southeast, the trees, the rain, the mild weather, you would feel entirely at home at Evergreen. Speaking of which, we've been in the midst of the academic river and my power just blipped. So I don't know if you can still hear me or not. You are frozen on my screen, but I'm going to pass it on to Justin then, if you can hear.
Gotcha. Thanks, Eric. So let's talk climate. I think that's a great starting point. Since we're all Western states, I'm sure all of our climates are all pretty varied. At the University of Nevada, Reno, we are at the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains. We're at an elevation of 4,500 feet. So it's high alpine desert. We have over 300 days of sunshine. So it's a very, very sunny climate, but we do get all 4 seasons because of our elevation. So we're going to have nice warm summers, average high in the low 90s. And in the wintertime, we're going to get snow. And we're close to the Sierra Nevada mountains, really close, which means, down in the valley where we're at, we get some snow that comes through, but it really only sticks around for a day or two because it's not quite cold enough. But in 35 minutes, you can get from campus to our nearest ski resort, Mount Rose, and you can be on the slopes like that at a lodge elevation of like 8,700 feet. So definitely a different climate than probably what you're used to, but a really, really beautiful spot. And it's easy to get to. Alaskan Airlines flies to the Reno airport. So usually it's just wherever you guys are at in Alaska, you're probably going to fly to Seattle or Portland and then back down to Reno. Campus is just a few miles from the airport. So it's going to be nice and quick and easy to get here. A little bit about who we are more generally. We're, as I said to start off, we're the flagship land-grant university in this state. We are a research university, ranked among the top research universities by the Carnegie Institute, a national tier 1 university. And so we have about 21,000 students on campus, a mid-sized university, 145 undergraduate programs, but we offer programs at the master's program, at the master's level, at the PhD level. We have a medical school here on campus. So it really is just a beautiful, very traditional college experience here at the University of Nevada, Reno. And we really, really hope to see you guys' applications. And please, I put my contact information there in the chat. So stay in touch. Let us know how we can help. We're here to help you. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Stephen.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we're a small university, 22 students to every faculty. We're expecting to grow a little bit in size, but we're going to keep that faculty to student ratio We have a lot of programs for freshmen that connect the freshmen to the faculty right when they get here, immersion programs, all kinds of cohort-based learning. And so we're really excited to get your students and for you to consider Humboldt. And we'll pass it over to Lisa Ann.
Right. So definitely different weather than Alaska and Hawaii. So if you want to get out of the cold, come and study at the University of Hawaii at Hilo. We actually have 11 of the world's 13 climate zones on the Big Island of Hawaii, from the deserts of Kau to the rainforest to even the snows up on Mauna Kea, our Arctic region. So definitely varied landscape here on our island, which makes it perfect for our students to study in. Our professors turn our island into a living laboratory for our students. So whether you're studying in the oceans or the lava fields or up on the mountains, you know, you definitely get a great hands-on experience here on our campus. It does rain here on the Big Island of Hawaii, but it's a nice warm rain when it does. Today it's a little bit rainy, so I've got a jacket on, but yeah, it's a beautiful place. We have a 14:1 student faculty ratio. Average class size on our campus is about 19 students per class. You definitely get that one-on-one with your professors and getting involved with their own research too. So it's not uncommon to see our undergraduate students co-authored and published alongside their professors. So definitely really cool learning opportunities are on our campus. If you'd like doing hands-on activities, UH Hilo is definitely the place to be. And with the WUE tuition discount, it makes it very affordable to come and study in Hawaii.
Awesome. Well, that was everybody, right? So thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. When you exit this session, there will be a really quick 5-question survey for you to fill out. We'd really appreciate any feedback you can provide. There are definitely more sessions tonight, so be sure to check those out. And this session's recording and all the other recordings will be available at strivescan.com/Alaska. Have a great night, and thank you to all of our panelists.
Take care, all.
Take care, everyone. Thanks.